Welcome back. Well, the Georgia Justice Project is making second chances a powerful reality for many Georgians. I got to speak with 11 Alive's Bill Liss and Georgia Justice Project's Executive Director, Doug Amar, about the powerful ways they are changing laws and advocating for the rights of all. All right, legendary Bill Liss and Doug, you won the Tegna Foundation grant. Congratulations.
Thank you.
How are you going to use the money to further your organization's mission?
Well, first of all, we so appreciate our relationship with Tegna and 11 Alive, not just because of the amazing Bill Liss, but because of the long relationship we've had. And Tegna has been a great supporter of our work for a long time. So the funds will be used to support our really critical work around individual representation as well as policy change in Georgia.
Okay, and tell people what your organization is, your mission with the Georgia Justice Project.
Right. So in America, we have a massive criminal legal system, and it is way too big. It affects everybody, and it alienates people. And if folks think it doesn't affect them, they're really wrong, because the criminal legal system affects everybody. In Georgia, we have 4.5 million people who have been arrested or convicted of a crime. Wow. That's 40% of the adult population. We have the largest number of people under correctional control in Georgia, in the country. We have the largest system of probation in the country. So our work is about trying to first keep people from going into the system, and if they're in the system, two, help people while they're in the system, and then three, to extract people if they've been in the system or been touched by the system. And our work is really couched around those frames.
All right, I could talk to you for hours, but I want to ask Bill a question. Bill, what is your role with the Georgia Justice Project?
I am a volunteer attorney, and I help the staff attorneys who are on the staff of the Justice Project to prepare all the documentation, criminal documentation, in order to go into court and to restrict criminal records, also to expunge criminal records, and also I work on first offender. So if you've been charged with something and you've been convicted and you've never been in a courtroom before, and it's something that where you can be considered a first offender, that also is what we do. And the idea is very specific, and that is to try to help these people, young or old, it doesn't matter, to restart their lives. Because one little problem that they had maybe 20 years earlier or whatever can affect their lives forever, unless there's a way that we can get around that. And that's what I do. Yeah,
wow. I was going to ask you why you were so passionate, but I already know, because you're making such a difference. So I want to ask you both, what are some ways that the Georgia Justice Project works to extract people from the system? Doug, you can start.
Sure.
Well, one of them is one of them is the way that I just explained.
That's right.
Sure.
That we do this record restriction, where we try to go in and we try to help these folks in order to get rid of what is on their record. Someone who was involved in Section 8 housing could not find a place to live, an older gentleman. And the reason being, they went into the records, they found this criminal conviction, and they said, no, we can't help you out. Well, we were able to reverse that as well by getting that record restricted. So that's basically what we do.
Excellent.
And that's one big bucket. The biggest bucket of our work is an area that, as Bill has been helping us for years on the criminal record side. But there's a few other areas I just want to talk about where we work to extract people from the system. One is that for the last 5 years, we've been showing up at the only Department of Corrections, Georgia Department of Corrections prison inside the perimeter called the Metro Reentry Facility. And we've been out there for 5 years, surveying everybody, representing hundreds of folks, helping them remove barriers to reentry before they get out. It's fascinating work. It's already led to some policy changes. The second area that we work in that is about extracting people from the system is this overbearing and overwrought probation system, really. That we have more people on probation than any other state. And so we passed a law and work on a direct service side to help get people off probation early. We do cases all the time on that. And then lastly, we are launching a new effort really that's coming out of our work at the Metro Reentry Facility in partnership with the City of Atlanta and Fulton County, and we call it the Warrant Clinic, to help people, lots of people who have these old warrants that they can't get resolved, that impede their ability to get into housing, impede their ability to get jobs, impede their ability to get treatment. And so these are some of the ways that we try to work to extract folks from the system.
Well, you mentioned as you were talking, I was thinking what we need here is systemic change, right? And I know you're working to pass new laws, new legislation. 22 laws in Georgia you've passed thus far to make it fair for everyone. Talk about some of those highlights.
Sure, I'll mention three. I'm always a three-bucket person. Okay. So the first, I would say, we were so proud that we worked on the first bill in Georgia that allows convictions to come off people's records. So the term of art is really expungement or restriction, but most people call it expungement. That law just passed a couple years ago, went into effect in 2021, and even on the most conservative number, it affected 1.5 million Georgians. And it's not just it affected a lot of people, but it's the first path for someone who, yes, had a conviction years ago, at least over 5 years ago. Often it's 20 or 30, many of the folks that Bill works with. But now there's a path for that record won't haunt you the rest of your life. Very excited about that, and we keep working on expungement bills. The second one is around probation. I already gave you some data, but Georgia, again, has more people on felony probation than any other state. And 35 states in the country limit felony probation to 3 to 5 years. Georgia is unlimited. We have the average probated sentence in Georgia is 6.7 years. And so we passed a law that allows, I won't say automates, but allows the system, when someone is not a risk anymore, it allows probation to sort of automatically put that paperwork in front of a judge to say, Judge, we think this person's not a risk or doing fine. Please terminate their probation within 3 years or more. And that bill already has gotten almost 20,000 people off felony probation in Georgia.
Wow.
So very excited about that work. And lastly, I would say a bill we're pushing that's coming up that we in this session is around occupational licensing reform for folks with criminal records, and tied to employment, because employment really, if you say I don't really care about criminal legal issues, but we care about folks going back into the system, then you really got to focus on employment. And there's so many barriers if you have a record to getting a job. And if somebody has a job, the way I always say it, having a job is like an antidote to recidivism. So we as a community want to make sure that folks have as much access to employment, especially when they are trying hard, because that will keep, that's about public safety.
Sure. Well, yeah, go ahead, Bill.
Well, if I showed you the number of, when I interview these people, very similar to what I would do in TV news, and I start to find out that they've been turned down from this job, from this job, from this job, and it's always the same thing. It's because they look at their record and they see that they have a conviction. They're not interested in what the conviction is for.
Sure.
It could be something very simple, just like shoplifting a dress or something, or a suit, but they have it on the record, and as a result, they're either reluctant to hire them or they don't hire them. And I hear this day after day after day, and when you get a person like that, and you get the record taken off and you get them back into the system, it is a fantastic thing, really. And you get nice notes and nice letters from these folks, because for years they were trying to do it, and they just keep getting turned down time after time after time. And thanks to Doug and thanks to what the Justice Project is doing, which is really phenomenal, we're able to get this stuff out a lot faster and get these people reemployed, and that's the key thing. And get housing for single mothers and even single fathers who have got these young kids, and they're being turned down at these various places to live because they have something on the record.
Well, we need more people like you both. Good gentlemen to know right here. And thank you for all the work you're doing in our community. And I hope some real change continues to take place. Thank you so much, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks to Bill and Doug and everyone at the Georgia Justice Project. Don't go anywhere. There's more ANC.